I'm not like Dave Rubin, a giant sellout fraud
Wow.
who changed all of his positions and is totally useless and it shouldn't even be on here. He's just a waste of space.
Wow.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. You guys need to see this. In a December 2024 episode of Piers Morgan Uncensored, former colleagues Cenk Uygur and Dave Rubin, two of the biggest names in political media, go head-to-head in their most explosive confrontation yet. Moderated by Piers and joined by Dave Smith, this debate isn't just personal. It's a deep dive into political transformation, loyalty, and the price of authenticity in the media world. Betrayal, accusations, and hard truths. This one's a masterclass in how the system fights back when you challenge the narrative. Let's break this down together.
Yeah, no, got no interest in coming together with utter frauds like Dave Rubin. So, brother, you telling me that when you were on the Young Turks, you were Mr. Progressive and you agreed with us 100%. Now, all of a sudden, you agree with Trump 100%. You're not saying...
There it is. Did you catch that? Cenk isn't just calling out a change of heart. He's framing it as betrayal. And notice how he focuses on Dave's supposed alignment with Trump instead of addressing any actual policies. This isn't just frustration. It's about losing control of the narrative. Let's see how Rubin responds to this.
Something nuanced like we are. Hey, you know, when the guy gets shot at and he puts his fist up, that's courageous. When he does the McDonald's photo op and it works fine, no problem, right? If he wants to cut the Pentagon, great. Those are progressive positions. Anti-corruption, progressive position. Anti-war, progressive position. But you change all of your ideology overnight and you expect us to believe that that's real? I don't think it's real at all. And I want an apology from you for all the crazy, outrageous lies that you told about the Young Turks. When is that going to happen, huh? Wow. And when are you going to admit that you changed all your positions for money, okay? Well, what position do you still have that's in any way a so-called classic liberal, you fraud?
This one cuts deep. Cenk just accused Rubin of abandoning his core identity, and here's why this matters. When someone shifts ideologies, it's never just about politics. It's personal, it's emotional, and it's treated as treason. But watch this next part. It's a textbook case of character assassination. Let me break it down for you.
Dave?
Piers, it's barely worth responding to this ridiculous buffoon who's the joke of the industry. I will say this, Cenk, I haven't spoken to you in 10 years.
Even right when you're thinking you're a total fraud.
Hang on. Pause it right there. This moment says everything about their history. These two were friends at the Young Turks, co-workers who stood for the same causes. Now, they can't even talk civilly. And here's the thing. This isn't just about their falling out. Every single time someone steps away from the progressive narrative, this happens. Watch what Cenk does next. It's a play straight out of the progressive media playbook.
I think he's a fraud or a joke. I think Dave Rubin is, for what it's worth, I think Dave Rubin is one of the most influential and significant voices out there right now. And I admire his honesty about the journey he's been on, Cenk.
Piers, I appreciate that, but you know, the thing is, what Cenk just proved is exactly what everyone in America, and I would say all over the world, is getting over. Nobody wants what he just offered up there. Not only does no one believe it, and he had it prepackaged and ready to go, and it's complete drivel. Yes, I sold out. It's just it's so nonsensical. Again, Cenk, I'll gladly send you a signed copy of the book, and you can read all of my thoughts. And if you're anti-corruption and you're anti-war, you should be on the Trump train. But your endless hatred, the division that you sow, calling everyone racist and white supremacists, all of that stuff, it's why you're not respected. But I don't mean to get into the personal side of that. I'm talking about now something that culturally has shifted, and everyone can see the grift that you're up to, trying to sort of dance with the thing. But it's just not necessary, and I don't think that many people will buy it.
Well, Cenk, let me put to you, Cenk, something that Laura. Hang on, Cenk. Cenk, hang on. I'm gonna read you something just to see your reaction. But Laura Loomer called you out on X, as you know, and she said this: you are the radical left, Cenk Uygur. You're a con artist and an opportunistic grifter who's gotten rich off demonizing President Trump, calling his supporters fascists and Nazis, promoting open borders, glorifying Hamas, and pushing conspiracy theories about Trump for 9 years. If you want forgiveness, get on your filthy knees and pray to Allah, because you aren't welcome on the right and you aren't ever going to find a redemption arc no matter how hard you pander. And she goes on and on. I'm going to keep calling you out every time you try to move an inch closer to many on the right because you're too dense and too dumb, because they're too dense and too dumb to decode your subversion, but I'm not. So, look, there are lots of people on the right who think that you're on some great move here to, as she puts it, wiggle your way into the middle and over to the right so you can then poison MAGA with your, as she puts it, subhuman political takes. Your thoughts?
Yeah. Okay, so look, this is, people like Laura Loomer and Dave Rubin are the exact problem. And I think actually somebody else on this panel was part of the solution. That's Dave Smith. And I want to come back to that in a second. So when you have people like Dave Rubin switch all of their positions, what happens is when you go to do nuance and you say, hey guys, hold on, let me explain, hold on. Yeah. Hey, go pleasure Trump again. Go pleasure Trump again.
Do you know that
he goes from Bernie to Trump and pretends. Come on, brother. Come on, brother.
I tell people what I believe in.
What do you believe in? You believed in something yesterday. You don't believe in anything today.
Yeah, what position? What position do you think I hold that I don't honestly believe?
Can I answer the question?
Yeah.
Can I answer the question? Can I answer Trump?
Yeah, what position do I say that I believe that I don't really believe? Go ahead.
Brother, you went on Fox News with Tucker Carlson. You went on Tucker Carlson on Fox News and said gay people, that the fact that the fire department was recruiting gay people was why there was forest fires. You're a national embarrassment, okay?
Right.
You pleasure those guys for a living.
You can pull up the clip tomorrow if you want.
Okay?
I was talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion, that you shouldn't hire people based on their genitals or their sexual orientation. And we now all know that. You have been one of the prime pushers of all of this neo-racism. I believe in meritocracy, that whether you're going to be a doctor or a firefighter or a basketball player or anything else, you should be hired on your qualifications, not your genitals or sexual orientation or skin color.
Yeah.
That's actually America. So you can keep trying here.
Yeah, finish your point, and then I'll go to Dave Smith.
Listen, yes. When this country desperately needs to unite against the establishment on things we all agree on. So things like all the populists hate corruption. All the populists hate war. By the way, Dave doesn't. Dave will demand that we start every war for Israel and pay for all of Israel's war. So he's been establishment on that all along. But when you go to say, hey, can we get an agreement on things that we agree on, the left pushes back because they're so afraid. They got traumatized by the Dave Rubins in the world. They're like, oh, if you take one step, not even in their direction, if you allow the right wing to take a step in our direction, they're worried that you're going to be a fraud like Dave Rubin and change all of your positions overnight. So my friends on the left, do not get scarred by this fraud of a man. There are other people like Dave Smith, who
let me bring in Dave Smith.
is a libertarian. We disagree on other issues.
Let me bring in Dave Smith.
But we can actually unite on the things that we care about.
Right. Let me bring in Dave Smith.
In order to unite, you got to get past the frauds like Dave Rubin.
All right. Dave Smith, welcome back to Uncensored. Obviously, things have kicked off. I actually thought there might have been a coming together moment, and not the way it went, but it's gone the opposite way. Let's just take what Dave Rubin was saying and then how Cenk responded. But it seems to me that this big tent thing of Trump, I mean, it's very real. His popularity in America has never been higher than it is today. He's got an incredible mandate. The Republicans basically now are in charge of absolutely everything. You've got everyone who formally distanced themselves in 2016 racing down to Mar-a-Lago to kiss the ring and so on. I mean, it's a real opportunity, but it's undeniably an extraordinary coming together of people from all types of political views and so on, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And let me just say for the record that I like both Dave and Cenk.
So do I. I agree.
Cenk did work in a compliment toward me, and Dave, you weren't able to do that, so I'm going to be on Cenk's side on this issue now.
Dave, you and I have some differences. I've never gone after you. I like you, absolutely.
That's true. Listen, I don't look bigger than your guys' like personal beef. I think it's what's going on here is really kind of amazing. Well, okay, but I'm just saying, if you zoom out here, I think since this last election, people are focused on this kind of realignment and the new political dynamics in America.
Now we're getting to the bigger picture. This isn't just about two former friends yelling at each other. This is about the larger political shifts happening in America. Dave Smith nails it here. The old categories of left versus right don't matter anymore. What we're seeing is a complete realignment, and this debate is just one symptom of it. Keep watching. This is where it gets real.
But if you look back 8 years ago in 2016, during this election in both major political parties, you had essentially civil wars. I mean, Donald Trump came in and took over the Republican Party against the will of the establishment and the donor class. In 2016, the RNC was floating out the idea of changing the rules, as you remember well, Piers, all the way up until the convention. They were floating out the idea of trying to steal this thing from Donald Trump. Of course, that same year, the Bernie Sanders movement had to be flat out cheated by the Democratic establishment. So it's not as if these things haven't been building for quite a long time. I think what happened in this election is that the thing that unified people around Trump was one, like Dave, you know, like you said, me and you disagree on a lot of issues. I think a lot of people who ended up supporting Trump disagree on a lot of issues. The one thing that united all of us is that we opposed the blatant corruption of the establishment and the corporate media apparatus, which is nothing more than the mouthpiece of the regime, constantly in the business of lying to the American people in service of the regime. And this is what so this is how you're able to get someone, a liberal like Bobby Kennedy and a liberal like Tulsi Gabbard and somebody like J.D. Vance or somebody like Vivek Ramaswamy, why they can all come together is that they all oppose the corruption that permeates D.C. that has truly, profoundly degraded this country over the last 25 years. And I think that there's just with that basic understanding, there's a lot that people, even with very different political views, can agree on.
Yeah. Amala, I want to come to you, but I want to play a clip from Stephen A. Smith. This is where he's calling out people who say he's on the right because he's been criticizing Democrats. Let's take a listen.
No surprises. You're just continuing to piss me off. Why? Because every time I make a comment that's critical of the Democratic Party or the left, I get accused of being a pundit for the right. I voiced my concerns about Joe Biden and his ability to serve as second term as president. Then Biden stepped on the debate stage in late June and revealed what many suspected. He embarrassed himself. The White House and the Democrats eventually switched to Vice President Kamala Harris when he stepped away. I pointed out my concerns with the campaign and the Democratic Party along the way, and many of you wanted to accuse me of being a voice for the right.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I just find it inexplicable that someone like him, who's so smart, can pass genuinely constructive criticism about why Democrats got it wrong. And immediately he has to be branded a right-wing headbanger, and that's the only reason he's doing this. When in fact, a bit of serious introspection from the Democrats is obviously massively overdue. What do you think of it, Amala?
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with your characterization. I think this is the big part of why they lost this past election. And it's this sort of dogmatic fervor that they have for everybody to toe every single part of the ideology that they represent. And I had a very similar experience. I used to be an extremely radical leftist. I was working for a left-leaning organization, organizing students to work on all of these different woke campaigns that were circulating at the time. And as soon as I started to question the narrative or question the fabric of the ideology I was pushing, I was immediately, thrust out into the open to sort of explore these ideas and figure out maybe I'm on the wrong side here, because I was with a group of people that were claiming to be tolerant, but as soon as you have an ounce of skepticism, they are ready to push you aside and label you as far right. And I think much to their dismay, what this is going to create is a group of people that feel so isolated that they are willing to indulge in right-leaning ideology, what they would characterize as far right, but at this point it's just, reasonable common sense. And as they are abandoned by their side, they're going to look to others and they're going to be accepted because we are able to explore. We are actually promoting skepticism.
Yeah. Lindy, I want to play a clip. This is Kamala Harris overnight. I don't know why she thought this was a good idea to come back out before Christmas as everyone's licking their wounds and almost like she was in campaign mode again. It's like, please, do not do this. But let's take a listen to what she had to say.
Get some rest over the holidays. Spend time with the people you love, You know, I believe family comes in many forms. There's family by blood and there's family by love. I urge you, then, after you have had some rest, in fact, I challenge you to come back ready to chart our path to the future. Chin up, shoulders back, forever impatient for change.
I mean, Lindy, no disrespect to her, because she's a perfectly nice woman. She would not inspire me to open a bag of chips. I mean, seriously. And I think that she sort of personifies now the ghost of Christmas past, as does Biden. The Democrats have got to move on quickly, haven't they?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. She's indulging delusions of running for governor in California in 2026 and perhaps even running for president in 2028. And I just want to echo what a lot of you guys already said. This past week has been harrowing for me. This Saturday, I went on Fox and Friends and I said that Democrats have a stench of loser hanging over them.
Yeah.
As soon as I said that, there were boycott campaigns against me, unblock, unfollow campaigns. I lost 40,000 followers.
Really?
In 4 days. People have called me the W word. I don't know what we're allowed to say, but you can fill in the blank.
We're uncensored. Let's say it. Say it. Say what the word was.
Am I allowed to?
Yeah.
Well, they called me a whore. They called me the C word. They asked for me to be deported. And you can just search for my name in those terms on X and you'll see a bunch of them. So, you know, all these so-called Democrats, the party of inclusion, the party of diversity, masks off. And it's even worse because they pretend to occupy the moral high ground. At least with the Republicans, you know, they are who they are. But with Democrats, they pretend to be, you know, so loving and caring and embracing of diversity. But all of a sudden, when I dare to utter any criticisms of the goddess, Kamala Harris, I get ostracized. Me, after having raised tens of millions of dollars for the party. And I'm being called a grifter when all along, all these years, I've said on TV, I've said to the press, I'm a conservative Democrat. This is not a switch for me. This is just me. This is who I've always been. Yeah. And also, my donors are pissed. They raised $2.5 billion across Super PAC in the campaign. It's my responsibility. It's my duty of care to ask what the hell happened with that money? Why did we spend it? Why did we spend millions of dollars on five-star hotels for campaign staffers? Why did we spend $500,000 essentially bribing Al Sharpton moments before he interviewed Kamala? These are legitimate questions, but no, in the cult, you can't ask questions. Yeah. And leaving the Democratic Party or even questioning the Democratic Party is like leaving a cult. It's terrifying.
Yeah, Dave Rubin, I mean, that's actually really unpleasant to listen to, isn't it? I mean, the idea that a woman who her only crime was to try and raise money for a pretty hopeless candidate, and obviously that didn't work, but the idea that immediately she raises criticism, legitimate, and in my view, entirely correct criticism of the party, she is abused in that kind of horribly misogynistic and disgusting manner. What does that tell you about where we are?
Sure. Well, I would say, Piers, we have a living, breathing example of that happening on this panel right now, which is that what she just illustrated there is a bunch of attacks on her character and her behavior and saying awful things, and you can describe them as misogynistic and all those things. Look at everything that Cenk just said to me. These are just attacks, not on my beliefs, but on my character, which, again, he couldn't illustrate one thing that I say that I don't believe.
Listen, you guys. This showdown between Cenk and Dave isn't just about two former friends or even about political evolution. It's about how the system protects itself by attacking anyone who dares to step outside the narrative. Every accusation, every personal jab, it's all part of the same pattern. If this opened your eyes, hit subscribe and drop expose in the comments. Stay sharp, stay critical, and I'll see you in the next breakdown.